What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Enemy YouTube channel, where we're here to help you develop a healthy mind to keep your body aligned. My name is Tyler Egan, and I will be your wellness mentor and educator for today's video. And in today's video, as the introduction implied, we're going to be talking about how to unfuck your back, knees, and shoulders. But really, we're going to be talking about how to unfuck any one problematic joint that you're dealing with right now, today. Regardless of your skill level in the gym or your educational level in the area of human anatomy, you can utilize this framework to alleviate your joints of any pain and discomfort. But before we begin with that, healthy joints do seriously, I'm not just saying this because I actually kind of do think I'm funny, require hydration. So cheers. Healthy joints require hydration, and staying well hydrated is a part of the game too. So like I said, in today's video, we're going to be talking about unfucking any one problematic joint that you're dealing with. And in order for us to do that, we need to start by talking about what is called the joint by joint approach. Now, the joint by joint approach was popularized by a man by the name of Gray Cook, and he wrote a book called Movement, literally just called Movement. It's a big, girthy, lengthy textbook, so if you're into that kind of thing, if you're a fellow nerd like me, it's a great read. It's just long and dense, and there's a lot of information in it. So if you're into that kind of thing, totally, highly recommend, but if you're not, don't worry about it. You don't need to read it. But the joint by joint approach essentially states that our body, okay, I'm gonna use my own words because it doesn't say this, but the human body is stacked in such a beautiful and eloquent way that we have joints, all these joints within our body, and they're stacked mobile joints on top of stable joints on top of mobile joints on top of stable joints, all the way up and down the kinetic chain. So foot, the tip and top of your toe, your tip and top of your toe, what? The top of your head, every joint is either a mobile joint or a stable joint, and they are stacked so that they work synergistically with one another so that we can move and function throughout the day. Now, when any one joint is missing its respective role, so as an example, the foot's a stable joint, ankle's a mobile joint, knee's a stable joint. If our ankles are missing mobility, then the feet and the knees have to compensate, right? It's like your coworker who doesn't pick up the slack or doesn't do their job fully, so then you have to pick up the slack, right? It's the same type of situation. So now my ankles are missing mobility, so they can't do their job, so the feet and the knees have to compensate so that I can just function. Now, these compensatory patterns don't always lead to optimal functionality, but they get us through life. So we have our joints stacked, mobile on top of stable, on top of mobile, etc., etc. Well, one joint is missing its respective job, and the other joints have to compensate. Now, we're gonna break that down in just a moment here, but there's one thing that we need to go over before we do that, and that is the difference between mobility and flexibility, because they are different. Mobility refers to your joint's ability to move through a full range of motion. So, real quick, we'll talk about this. If we look at the shoulder for a moment, there's dozens of muscles that go into the functionality of the shoulder, right? So we have the front delts, the middle delts, the rear delts. We have the external, internal rotators within the rotator cuff. We have the serratus anterior. We have all these different muscles, right? And so we need all of these muscles to work to their full capacity so that our shoulders can move through a full range of motion. Flexibility, on the other hand, refers to a muscle's length, muscle tissue length, whether that be shortened or elongated. So if we look at it like this for a moment, we're sitting down at work or whatever, and in this seated position, the hip flexors, the hamstrings become shortened. They're in a shortened, contracted position all day. So maybe after work, you just do some hamstring stretches, you go to a yoga class, you do some downward dog, it opens the hamstrings up, and you're feeling good again, right? So flexibility simply refers to a specific muscle tissue length, whereas mobility refers to your joint, the entirety of the joint, muscle tissue aside for a moment, your joint's ability to move through a full range of motion. Now, that's important because when we're talking about the joint by joint approach, we're talking about mobility joints, mobile joints. We're not talking about flexible joints. Flexibility, just specific muscle tissue, okay? So now, with that out of the way, let's get into the joint by joint approach. Let's get into the different different joints within the body. So we're gonna draw Harry here. I'm actually gonna attempt to draw this guy. So he's got a weird looking, I mean, he's got no shoulder development. So we're gonna give him some shoulders. This is really bad. I'm sorry, y'all, I'm not an artist. This is bad. I think he's wearing a suit because these shoulders are kind of like boxed off. He's got a weird torso too. Sorry, bro. We got the legs here. He's gonna be wearing pants like mine with his little feet that are weird. So we got Harry here, and Harry, you know, he's just like us. He's got his shoulders here, his shoulder blades, which sit on the back of the rib cage. Shoulder blade, shoulders. These are gonna be the major joints we're gonna talk about today. We have the thoracic spine, which is I'm gonna call it the T-spine, which is your middle back. So real quick, to understand the spine really fast, right at the base of your neck, you should feel a lump here. From here up is your cervical spine. From that base point again to the middle of your back, right around, is gonna be your thoracic spine. So within the points of my hands, my fingers, is my thoracic spine. And then from here down is my lumbar spine. And then, you know, we get into the sacrum and the coccyx and stuff like that, but that's out of the scope of this video. So T-spine is gonna be that midpoint to the base of your neck. We have that midpoint to the lumbar spine. That's the lumbar spine in the lower back. We have our hips here. Obviously you know where your hips are. Shakira said it, our hips don't lie. Hips, you know where your knees are. Knees, what did I say? Ankles, and then our feet. Okay, so we have Harry, we have his joints. Now let's break down the joint by joint approach and what each joint is, what their role is. So the shoulder blade is a stable joint. So S, stable, M will be mobile. Shoulders, so we're talking here down, mobile. And then your shoulder blade, it's the like half kite shaped looking thing that sits right on the back of your rib cage up here. T-spine, mobile. So normally the order I would go in would be shoulders, then shoulder blades. I wrote this wrong because then it would make more sense. So mobile, stable, mobile, but just understand that. Okay, lumbar spine, lower back, stable, hips, mobile, knees, stable, ankles, mobile, feet, stable. So I'm actually just gonna switch this really fast. It's gonna bother my OCD. All right, so I'm just gonna write blades here. I do not refer to a weapon. Okay, shoulders, mobile, shoulder blades, stable. Okay, so now this is the joint by joint approach, right? So each joint has a respective job. Shoulders are mobile joints, shoulder blades are stable, thoracic spine, T-spine, upper back, mobile, lumbar spine, stable, hips, mobile, knees, stable, ankles, mobile, feet, stable. And you can see, stable, mobile, stable, mobile. When the knees are missing stability, so they don't have stability anymore, the joints above and below have to compensate and work harder. So with this in mind, we can start to dissect our individual joint pain and begin to understand what the hell's going on and what we're supposed to do about it, okay? So now let's go over a couple examples. So we have knee pain, like I said, we wanna look above and below. No matter what kind of joint pain you're dealing with, you always wanna look at the joint above or below. That's why I rewrote it in this order so you could see it. Because if we're having lower back pain, we wanna look above and below, right? So if we're having now lower back pain, not just knee pain, although oftentimes those two things go together, we're having lower back pain, look above and below. Do we have enough mobility at our hips and at our shoulders? Or I'm sorry, at our thoracic spine. And you can go on YouTube right now and find hip mobility tests or hip mobility exercises or thoracic spine mobility exercises to begin to regain functionality within those. Once we can assess that, then there's a very simple process for us to follow, okay? So we have the framework. We have shoulder pain, right? We want to look above and below. We look at the shoulder blades. Are the shoulder blades stabilizing us? No. So then what we do is we start to, this is the process we follow next. We want to restore functionality to the soft tissue around that area. If our joints aren't doing what they're supposed to do, their respective jobs, then there's often a soft tissue restriction somewhere around that joint. So we can grab a foam roller, we can grab a lacrosse ball, we get a deep tissue massage, we get cupping done, we get scraping done, one of those types of things, and that restores the sliding and gliding surfaces within our soft tissue, our soft connective tissue. When that gets bound up, it's like pulling my shirt down like this, right? And expecting the shirt not to like be affected, not to stretch out. Right? This is essentially what's happening in your soft tissue. It's being pulled one way and it's stuck. There's an adhesion there. And we want to break that free so we can restore the sliding and gliding surfaces so that my shirt can move freely. Okay, so we want to restore functionality to the joint. So we want to do some soft tissue mobility work around the joint. So again, if we have shoulder pain, we look at the shoulder blades. Okay, the shoulder blades aren't stabilizing us. So what's going on there? Well, first things first, maybe we should start to deal with the rounded posture of our shoulders. If our shoulders are in this position, might want to open up the lats a little bit, right? Do some soft tissue work here, maybe do some soft tissue work on the upper, mid, and more specifically the lower traps. Now that we have the sliding and gliding surfaces back to where we want them, we want to mobilize the joint. So restoring, step one, restoring soft tissue, the sliding and gliding surfaces of the fascial networks within our body is step one. We want to do that with some type of pressure, foam roller, lacrosse ball, deep tissue massage, whatever you decide to do. Okay, once we have that restoration, then we want to get some movement back into there. Like I said in the beginning, we want hydrated joints. If there's a lot of adhesion and buildup, a lot of blockage there, and the soft tissue just has that restriction, then there's not blood flow getting in there. There's not hydration. So we want to restore the functionality of the joint. We want to rehydrate the joint by getting some applied pressure into that soft tissue restriction. Once we do that, we want to mobilize the area, right? So the lats are bound up from sitting at work all day, right? We have shoulder pain, we're in this rounded posture, the shoulder blades aren't stabilizing us. Got it. So we want to open up the lats, we get a foam roller, we lay on it for a little bit, and now we have removed the adhesions, the bound up stuckness in the lats here. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to mobilize the lats. So we want to get the lats in an overhead position. So some type of mobilization that gets the lats overhead. Okay, so now we're actually restoring length, so flexibility to the lats, but we're also mobilizing the entire shoulder in an overhead position. So step two now is to mobilize, okay? Mobilize the joint into the position we're trying to get into. So if we're stuck in this position all day, and we want to get into this position a little bit better, now we want to mobilize in this position. So we do like a half kneeling lat stretch, downward dog type of thing. Okay, that's mobilizing the shoulder in an overhead position. Step three then is going to be the strengthen. Now, again, we were talking about shoulder pain, not shoulder blade pain, but we're addressing both, okay? Like I said, if you have joint pain in your knees, you wanna look above and below. But when we get to step three, we wanna strengthen and stabilize that area. That means strengthening and stabilizing the entire component of it. So if we have knee pain and we are mobilizing the ankles and the hips, working on mobility there, we're restoring motion, we're mobilizing, now we're strengthening. We want to strengthen the hips, but we want to strengthen the knees as well. Okay, so it's strengthening the entire complex. So you can do that in an isolated fashion if you're just doing like banded TKEs to work the knee. You can do that I would recommend both. And you can do it in a holistic approach where maybe you're doing like a split squat. Because in a split squat position, your knee needs to stabilize you or you're going to collapse inward. So then we want to strengthen and stabilize. And we'll go over a few examples in a moment here. Okay, so again, we have the framework. We know what each joint is supposed to do. We have the shoulders, they're mobile. Shoulder blades are stable. Thoracic spine is mobile. Lumbar spine is stable. Hips, mobile. Knees, stable. Ankles, mobile. Feet, stable. With that framework in mind, now we can start to dissect what's going on here. I've got shoulder pain. Okay, I look at the shoulder blades. They're not stabilizing me. I'm in this weird position all day. Makes a lot of sense. With that in mind too, the T-spine could be influencing the shoulders too. Maybe you are in that same position, you're missing mobility, right? So we restore the sliding and gliding surfaces. We rehydrate the soft tissue within your body. You don't need to understand the fascia and stuff like that in order to start doing this. All you need to understand is that you need to restore the soft tissue within your body. So if you have shoulder pain, your thoracic spine, which is attached to your shoulder blades, is likely bound up. So you want to get a lacrosse ball in between your shoulder blades. Be careful of your spine. Right back in here, get a foam roller, start to loosen that up and free up the bound up tissue. Now that we have the bound up tissue released, we want to mobilize the shoulder. So we're in this forward rounded position all day. The shoulders are in a lot of pain. We need to start getting into full extension. Remember I said mobility is full range of motion at a specific joint. If we're getting to full extension, we're not just talking about our shoulders. Look what happens at my spine. Bam, I'm getting full thoracic extension, upper back, and the shoulders. Bam, we want both, okay? So we restore the sliding and gliding surfaces of the fascia, the soft tissue. We then mobilize the joint in the position we're looking to get into, or we just work on working through a full range of motion. You could do CARs, controlled articulation rotation exercises. Really simple, no equipment required. We then mobilize, then we strengthen and stabilize. Okay, then we need to strengthen and essentially solidify all of the restoration we just did to the problematic area. Okay, so that is going to be the joint by joint approach, and this is how you're going to begin to unfuck any one problematic area, any one problematic joint within your body. Okay, just a couple quick reminders I want to share with you all. The first thing is explore movement. Explore what movements and exercises, what mobility drills, what soft tissue drills, a deep tissue massage, cupping, like which one of these things works the best for you. Okay, every body is different. We are bio-individual. Our bodies respond differently to different stimulation. I want to invite you to explore movement. I want to invite you to explore different modalities to see what is going to elicit the best result for you. With that in mind too, test and retest the area. So again, if we're going back to the joint, the shoulder as an example for a moment, you know, if you're noticing you have joint pain right here, okay, do your restoration stuff, do your mobilization stuff, and then do your strengthening stuff, and then go back, get into the position, and see how it feels. If you're not experiencing joint pain anymore, then you're in the right spot. So test and then retest the joints. If you do a certain thing with your knee, so you squat down, bam, I got knee pain right there. Okay, you know, I mobilize the ankles, I mobilize the hips. Let me try again. Wait, no knee pain, oh my God, you know what I mean? And then you start to see, you can test and retest. You can see what's working versus what's not working. Okay, so that's going to be how to unfuck your problematic joint pain, any joint pain. Remember, this can be applied to any joint within your body. You always want to look above and below the joint. If you have hip pain, look at your knees and your lower back. If you have lower back pain, look at your hips and look at your thoracic spine. If you got ankle pain, look at your feet and look at your knees. Okay, so that's going to be that, y'all. If you guys took anything from this video, please, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a like, a comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you have specific joints that you would like us to cover, drop a comment down below. The hips are my favorite, so if I get enough comments or likes or something like that, I'll totally make a video about hip pain, because Shakira said it best, the hips don't lie. Anyway, y'all, like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. If you are looking to work with us one-on-one on your healing and wellness journey, there will be a link down below where you can schedule a discovery call to learn more about the MME community. And with that all out of the way, I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.